Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, brother guy, back again. It is Wednesday. You know what that means? It is our UFC segment day. So I will be doing a nice preview of the UFC fight night. Carlos Ulberg taking on Dominick Reyes in the light heavyweight division. This is going to be a crazy fight. I can't wait for it. It is going to be live this Sunday, 28th of September at 4 a.m. South African time. Check your local listings. I think it will be on DSTV for us South Africans. Um, but yeah, that's going to be 4 o'clock in the morning, and we will be doing it as we always do from the top of the card. It is in Perth, Australia. Looking forward to this fight, this particular fight. Not so much the entire card, but this particular fight has a lot of implications to the division, and I'm looking forward to it purely because of who's on display. I just feel like this fight's gonna end in a stoppage. I don't see this fight going all the way through 5 rounds, and if it does, it's gonna be a boring fight. But I mean, Dominick Reyes doesn't really get involved in boring fights. So let me bring it up on the screen and then we can have a nice chat about it and go through a nice young preview. Let's do this. There we go. So in the main event, we have Carlos Ulberg taking on Dominick Reyes. Good matchup. Very, very good matchup for the UFC. I think both guys are deserving of where they are right now in terms of their career and also like in terms of their matchups. Just also because that the rest of the fight or the rest of the division is currently sort of locked up in terms of matchups, right? We have Ankalaev and Pereira fighting each other. What's it like? Less than a month from now, and then we have Yuri Praska taking on Khalil Roundtree Jr. That obviously leaves now Carlos Ulberg and Dominick Reyes. I think Rakic hasn't had a fight in a while. I think he fought once. I think it was last year. And then obviously Jamal Hill lost to Khalil Roundtree earlier this year. So it makes sense. It makes sense as why this is the fight. Because who else can Dominick Reyes fight as well as Carlos Ulberg? Especially because of who they fought last, right? So let me give you some numbers before I break it down. Carlos Ulberg is currently ranked number 3 in the division. That's number 3 light heavyweight. He's 34 years old. His record in I won't say UFC, but his overall record is 13 wins, 1 loss, and he has. Let's turn this down quickly. There we go. Yep, that's so much better. Um, 13 wins, 1 loss, 0 contest for Carlos Ulberg. He's got 7 wins by KO, 2 wins by sub, and he's got 6 first-round finishes. He's also on a current 8-fight winning streak, which is really good. That's absolutely phenomenal in the world of MMA. If you think about win streaks, I think it speaks a lot because fighters generally can't even get the 5-fight win streak, let alone an 8-fight win streak. So he's in that category of fighters that are how do I say, looking a little bit unbeatable. Granted that his opponents that he has fought prior to the last 3 has been not saying necessarily layups, but fighters that he should be getting through, right? And then obviously his last couple of opponents have been quite tough, and he's able to beat them in a very good, successful fashion. So his last win came over the Polish power, Jan Blachowicz, and he beat him by unanimous decision. Good fight for Carlos Ulberg. He did the necessary stuff in that fight. Would have loved to have seen him sort of go a little bit harder because I feel like Jan Blachowicz was there for the taking. But then also Carlos Reyes had Carlos Ulberg had to do what was necessary for the fight and to ensure that he gets the W, right? So he can progress in the division. Because if he had taken a loss there, I think he might have gone down the picking order a little bit. Dominick Reyes, on the other hand, he's ranked number 7, former title challenger against John Jones. So everyone thought he might have won that fight, but you know, it's done. It's like almost 4 years ago, so we don't have to talk about that anymore. Dominick Reyes is 35 years old. His record is 15 wins, 4 losses, 0 no contests. He has 10 wins by KO, 2 wins by sub, 11 first-round finishes. He's currently on a 3-fight winning streak, beating Nikita Krylov by first-round KO in his last fight. So yeah, both guys are put on the streak right now. Dominick Reyes is kind of what do you call this? Recovery. Not recovery. Comeback. This is his big comeback, right? He's since that loss to John Jones, he kind of went down a little bit down the rails, right? He hasn't been successful since then. Losing to Blachowicz, losing to Yuri Praska, losing to Ryan Spann. It's like, what next? And then he comes back and then he beats Justin Jacoby, he beats Anthony Lionheart Smith, and then he takes out Nikita Krylov. All these fights in the first round finishes, except for Lionel Smith. He beat him in the second round KO. But I mean, that was a weird fight for Lionel Smith as well. But look at that though. He's coming back since the loss against the three former champions. That was John Jones, Vlahovic, and Yuri Prochazka. That's three former champions that he lost to, and then came back. I mean, then he lost to Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, I don't even know where he is anymore. I think he might be fighting heavyweight now. And then since that one, he's been back and just been on a tear, and he's looking good. He's looking more composed. Personally, the biggest thing for me, Dominick Reyes. I look at him on the microphone, during the fights and after the fights. There's a look in his eye of someone that has found peace. He's found peace in his life. I think that's probably why he's performing so much better, and why he's not looking like a sort of like a lost soul, if you will. He's getting KO'd all the time. Because if you think about it, before fighting against John Jones, he had this like look of like, I'm the dog and I'm gonna kill everybody, and just looking like a nutter. And then gets beaten in a fashion that I think got him down way too much. Because in my opinion, he should be beating fighters like Yuri Prochazka and Jan Blachowicz, or at least go toe to toe with him and not get KO'd in the first round. You know what I mean? I feel like he could have at least stood toe to toe with these guys. But I think the manner of how he lost to John Jones might have eaten him up in the way that he wasn't really able to come back from it mentally. But now he's here and he's on a 3-fight win streak and he's looking really great in those 3-fight win streaks. However, he is taking on Carlos Ulberg, who is slightly bigger than him in terms of height. Let me just check that. They're both 6'4". They're both 6'4". Their reach is both 77. Actually, they're literally identical in everything. But I feel like Carlos Ulberg fights on the outside a little bit better. Like he uses his jab and his tips. He uses the longer range weapons a little bit better than Dominick Reyes. Dominick Reyes is the kind of guy he's tall, but he gets in tight. He wants to box with you. He wants to get in very close and he wants to box with you. That's what he wants to do. He wants to get in there and do some like dirty boxing, some elbows, he wants to stay in close. He doesn't want to be on the outside for too long because he doesn't really have an outside game. He's not going to pepper out the jabs, pepper out the jab, straight right to the body, pull out an opponent's, pull the guard down, left hook, right hook. He doesn't do those kind of stuff. It's more of like, lots of feinting, but keep walking you down, getting into the pocket. And once you're in the pocket, now we're going to scrap. And I think he believes that his boxing is a little bit sharper there, which I think to a degree it may be. But I mean, let's be honest, Carlos Ulberg comes out of city kickboxing. Those guys eat, sleep, repeat, striking every day. None of them, those guys don't really wrestle. They just want to strike all the time. So I understand. In my opinion, I think Carlos Ulberg is slightly the sharpest striker here, especially because he can use kickboxing heavy weapons as well, right? He can stay on the outside, pop those teeps out there consistently, throw a hard calf kick, get Dominick to bite, because Dominick's going to obviously want to be the front foot. That's how he fights. He doesn't really want to be on the back foot. He's the kind of guy that wants to walk forward and dictate that pace the whole time. And Carlos Ulberg is a very much a counter-striking kind of fighter. Again, when he's the one that's given the license to go forward, which is Carlos Ulberg now, he doesn't take the kill. You know what I mean? He's very patient. So when he's leading the dance, it's a lot of like long distance jab, boom, or left hand jab, throw a high kick, jab, get out of the way, and just in a very clean fashion beat you. So that way is like there's no ways that you win in the fight here. He's beating you every single round, right? That's pretty much how Carlos Ulberg fights. And then when the fight gets a bit scrappy and it gets a little bit heavy, that's when Ulberg starts swinging those haymakers because now it's in a scrappy event. He has to now get into these wild exchanges, and that's what Dominick's gonna have to do to upset him. Because I think Dominick shouldn't, in my opinion, he shouldn't in this fight, fight that fight on the outside the way Carlos Ulberg does. Don't get sucked into that one punch. You go, I go. You go, then I go, and then we keep jabbing and we walk and then we keep jabbing, and then maybe out of the in every 35 seconds we might just do something crazy, wild exchange, and get out of it again, and then we'll dance for another minute and a half. Then we do another. Then we go again for 30 more seconds. He mustn't do that because that's going to favor Carlos Ulberg. I think Dominick Reyes is to make this an ugly fight. That meaning even if you go into the clinch, get the elbows going, make it a grueling fight, shadow box him in those moments. If you can keep Carlos Ulberg on the back foot and keep him up against the cage for as long as possible and fight in those close quarters there, I think Reyes has got the advantage there because that's where he's a little bit more crafty in my opinion. But out on the outside, when they're in the middle of the ring, of the octagon, and they just fighting out there on the outside the whole time, Carlos Ulberg's probably going to point fight him for 3 rounds and win the fight like that. But I don't know if it's going to go all the way. I'll be very surprised if this fight goes all the way, purely because of who they are. Right? Because Ulberg can knock people out. Right? He's gotten a couple of knockouts in his career before. He KO'd Manyfield. First round KO. He submitted what's that Korean dude Jung. KO'd Pretoria. KO'd I can't even say this guy's name. No Gumaruno. KO'd okay, but a lot of these guys that he's KOing, he got KO'd by Inchuku, who's now fighting heavyweight Kennedy Inchuku. So he's KO'd a lot of guys earlier on in his UFC career, and then it's gone on to like a lot of decision wins. But that's also because of, let's be honest, that's that when he fought against high level guys. I mean, Volkan Oezdemir and Blachowicz is the two guys that took him to decision. Those are two guys who basically, one was champion, and one fought for the title, and they've been around the block. Right? They've been at the best of the best. So when he fought against high level competition, he's going to decision with him. I don't know if this is going to be the case here. Dominick Reyes is also high level competition, but Dominick Reyes is the kind of fighter that he's prepared to die on his shield. He's prepared to go in there and take your head off and get hit while taking your head off. He's prepared to take that damage to get that KO. That's Dominick Reyes. He's prepared to risk it all for that biscuit. I think that kind of mentality and that kind of fight style could do one of two things. It could either get Dominick Reyes in trouble and get him KO'd early, or get him the victory. And it could turn Carlos Ulberg, it could expose Carlos Ulberg. It can show people that you can make him uncomfortable. You make it a fight where he's on the back foot and he's not settled and he has to think about a lot of things coming at him. You can get him out of there, because then what's going to happen is he's not going to be, Carlos Ulberg is not going to be able to settle enough to look for his counters, because he has to worry about so many things coming at him, and he's going to throw some wild stuff out of there, maybe just to stop you in your tracks. But I think on the back foot, he doesn't fight that great. And you could see the fight against Jan Blachowicz as well. He didn't look the greatest when Blachowicz went forward. So I'm gonna go early. I'm gonna go with the. I want Dominick Reyes to win so badly. I really do, just for himself and for his career, and as like a reckoning for himself to come back. This is new for him, and pardon me, it's a second coming. So I kind of want him to be successful at that. And even if he doesn't get the title, but I want him to at least get another shot. And the way he gets that shot is by beating Carlos Ulberg. Beating Carlos Ulberg kind of guarantees him into the position of maybe a title shot, or maybe he's fighting against the next best guy. So like we have Ankalaev and Pereira, right? He might get the loser of that. If he doesn't, if or he might not even get the loser of that. He might even get the winner of Praska and Khalil Rountree. Right? Because Praska and Khalil Rountree has fought against Pereira already. Jiri Prochazka, did he fight against Ankalaev? I think they drew, didn't they? Just double check. But the point is, UFC is having this thing right now where they're not doing a lot of rematches anymore. Like they don't do it like they did it in the past, where you can have like a rubber match. It's a four-peat. These guys can go on and on against each other. We don't see that. There we go, Ankalaev. So I noticed that the UFC isn't doing, unless it's like a warranted kind of fight, like a Max Holloway versus Volkanovski situation where there isn't any other opponent, right? So you're gonna have to go with the same guy, or Ray Maynard and Frankie Edgar, or the babyface assassin and Deuce together when they fought 4 times. Let me just check here to remind myself if they have fought before. Big Unk fight against Prochazka? No, doesn't look like it. So that could happen. Obviously, Prochazka is going to have to beat Khalil Rountree first. Rountree also hasn't fought Ankalaev yet. So let's just say Ankalaev beats Pereira again. Let's just say that happens. And now Pereira is now, he had 2 shots at Ankalaev, lost both of it. Ankalaev is still the champion. Then what happens here is now Carlos Ulberg versus Dominick Reyes. The winner of this fight could get Ankalaev next. Right? I think if it's Ulberg, they're probably going to give it Ankalaev. If it was Reyes, they might give him Pereira. And then you got Prochazka and Jamal Hill that's fighting on the same card. It's Jamal Hill, Khalil Rountree. The winner of that fight could get the loser of this fight, of Ulberg and Reyes. That's just and that may sound strange, but the thing is, it's actually phenomenal, because now we have a light heavyweight division where the top 7 can all fight each other and go for a title run. Like, that's the mad thing here. The division is finally looking competitive again since the Lyoto Machida days and the early Dominick Reyes and the Dominick Reyes, John Jones, and Rashad Evans in them, when the division was stacked from top to bottom. We had all these killers. it's starting to shape up that way again. And I think there's a lot at stake here for this main event for that particular reason. So, yeah, I my biased nature is telling me to go with Dominick Reyes because I'm a fan and I want him to get it right. But logically, something's telling me because Ulberg gets the job done here, and he either KOs Dominick Reyes with catching Reyes as he comes in or something, or he decisions him over 5 rounds. That's how I see it happening. Um, yeah, logically, I think Carlos does that because Dominick's gonna have to he's gonna have to force the envelope. He's gonna be the one that's gonna have to force the nature here because Ulberg isn't that kind of fighter. He's not gonna be the one that's happy to take the driving seat. He's the kind of guy that wants to counter strike you because he believes in that power and that sharpness and that speed. And Reyes is the kind of guy that doesn't want to fight backwards. He wants to go forward all the time. Just look at all his fights. That's how he fights. He doesn't want to go backwards. And that may be in a position where he might get caught. He might get caught by Carlos Ulberg. So I'm going to go Carlos Ulberg for the win. Just because that's the logical thing to say. It's the smart money for me. But let's go Dominick Reyes. Please prove me wrong come this weekend. Let me know in the comments, please and gentlemen. That is my short preview. I see it's already 20 minutes, almost 20 minutes, and it was just only the main event. But that's okay because I only really have notes for a couple of fights in this fight card. The entire fight card is not that stacked, if I'm being honest. It's not that hyped for it, but we'll do our best. We'll do our breakdowns of this fight. So let's go to the co-main event. Co-main event, we see Gamrot, mate, taking on Ivan. Oh, why is my Wi-Fi doing that? Okay, cool. Gamrot taking on Ivan Erslan, light heavyweight bout. This should be a good one as well. Let's look at some numbers between these two gentlemen. Gamrot is 29 years old. His record is 13 wins, 4 losses, 2 no contests. He has 5 wins by KO, 5 wins by sub, 9 first-round finishes, and he also beat Marcin Prachnio by first-round sub in his last fight. Finally, the man's got some victories under his belt again. He's been on a topsy-turvy career in the UFC. And then we have Ivan Erslan is 33 years old. His record is 14 wins, 5 losses in no contest. He's got 10 wins by KO, 1 win by sub, 11 first-round finishes, and he's got a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to Navajo Sterling by unanimous decision in his last fight. So what do we have here, guys? Ivan Erslan, 2 fights in the UFC, 2 losses, both by decision, 1 against Kutalaba and obviously against Navajo Sterling, who's also on this fight card, by the way. And then the other one was against Gamrot, mate. Let's go. He, at the moment, has also had a little bit of a topsy-turvy situation. The 2 no contests, one against Manyfield, but then he went against Manyfield again and then he got subbed in the second round. And he fought Rodolfo Bellato, and then that was also a no contest. Oh no, a draw, majority draw. So strange. So it's 1 no contest, 1 draw. But other than that, he's also been in there with some good guys. He fought Jamal Hill, fought against Anthony Smith. He fought against Mateusz Bukauskas. He's been in there with some good guys. He's been around the block. Paul Craig. He subbed Paul Craig. Anyway, I don't know what to make of this fight, to be honest with you. I'm going to go Gamrot, home advantage. It's in Perth, Australia. The guy's from Australia. I expect him to get the job done successfully using maybe a bunch of barrage of strikes. Gets Aslan down, finishes him via TKO, maybe even a submission. But I think it's going to be a very spicy first round. A lot of jostling to see who's going to dominate the positions. But I think Gamrot's got the better strike in here, and I think having the rejuvenation of fighting at home is going to be the thing that's going to carry him through this fight. I think they're kind of evenly matched, if you will. Even Aslan, even though he's got the 2 losses in the UFC so far, he didn't look that bad. You know, he was okay. I mean, I expected Navajo Sterling to beat him, to be honest with you, so I didn't really give him that much race in that fight. But in the fight against Kutalaba, I thought that Kutalaba was going to KO him, and he didn't, and it was a split decision loss. So he actually held his own against Kutalaba in that fight. So we could see the same here. My fan in myself wants to say Gamrot second round TKO, maybe even first round TKO. But when it comes to these heavier guys, I just think that when the fight goes past the first round, there's a high percentage that it's going to go all the way. So I might just go 3-round decision for Jimmy Crute in this one. And again, that's to save money. I'm deep down. I want to see a KO here, but I think Jimmy Crute's going to get the job done by a decision. I don't have any other opinion, to be honest with you. Again, because usually any other day, Jimmy Crute is fighting on the prelims. You know what I'm saying? It's just because this is in Perth, Australia now that we're gonna have to accept that we're gonna have Australian guys on the main card, and a lot of the fighters on this fight card are generally not making main events, or excuse me, making main cards. But here we are, and let's just go with that, I guess. So I'm gonna go Jimmy Crute for the win, 3-round decision, or possible second round TKO. Let's go with that. But let's keep it moving. I see on the fight card we also have. Let's just remove this here. Get this note out of the way. Right, we're gonna take it to my next note. But before I do that, I just want to let you know who else is on the main card. So the fight that takes place before this one is Jack Jenkins taking on Ramon Tavares. Not much you can say here either. Ramon Tavares, I think he doesn't have that many wins in the UFC. I think he's got like one. Let me just check here. I know he won his opening fight. There we go, against today. He was a good boxer, and then he got beaten by old man Davy Grant as well. That kind of says a lot if he gets beaten by old man Davy Grant, who's literally almost 40 years old. I think he's 40 years old right now, 41 or something like that. And he's losing to Ramon, losing to that guy. So Jack Jenkins, on the other hand, what you see is what you get. Basically, a trucker loves to just box, stand and bang, go forward, smash you. That's the kind of fighter you get here. Also up and down career, got KO'd, then KO'd Gilbert Burns' brother, got submitted in the fight after that. So it's like he hasn't been able to string a good set of results together. So it's very unfortunate. But anyway, we'll move it on to the fight that I do have notes on. We have Jake Matthews taking on Neil Magny. And this is going to be a fun fight. It's always good to see Neil Magny on the fight card, even though I think he's at that point of he's just getting paid to take on a bunch of young guys to kind of put them through the test in the ringer to see if they're worthy. So it's like UFC's like, before we can sign this young guy and give him praise, fight Neil Magny first. Neil Magny's like, I'm happy to do that. And Neil Magny will give you the stamp to whether or not you can go forward or stay where you are right now. So if you don't beat Neil Magny, you're not going to progress in the UFC. But if you do beat Neil Magny, you will definitely climb up the rankings in the welterweight division. And that's what you get here. So let's go through some numbers on this one. Jake Matthews, 30 years old. His record is 22 wins, 7 losses, 0 no contest, 6 wins by KO, 8 wins by sub, 4 first round finishes, 2 fight losing streak. And he lost to my guy, Chidi Njukwani. Bang, bang. Let's go. First round sub. And then Neil Magny is 38 years old. His record is 30 wins, 14 losses, 0 no contest. So that tells you this guy's experience is through the roof. He's got years of experience over a lot of the guys. 9 wins by KO, 4 wins by sub. He beat Eliseu Zaleski dos Santos by second round KO in his last fight. Looked really good, and he needed that win because before that he was getting wiped out by a couple of the young lads. Let me just remind myself here: Carlos Prates and Michael Morales, 2 of the dark horses, in my opinion, in the welterweight division, who are probably going to be future champions. Like Carlos Prates probably only has this next 2 years before we. I feel like he spoke about it not too long ago where he made mention. I can't remember where I watched it or I heard it from. But Prates was making mention of that. He only really sees himself fighting for 2 more years and then he's going to call it from there. So he wants a title shot in the next year. Maybe Leon Edwards is his next fight. Title shot if he beats Leon Edwards. If he gets a title, if he win or lose that fight, he's probably going to call it after that. So makes sense. Whereas Michael Morales, on the other hand, I think that dude is much younger. And he's going to be the champion. That's, in my opinion, that's the next welterweight champion. In like within the next 2 years or so, he's the next guy in line. I know there's a lot of other killers there, but I feel like Michael Morales is that dude, and he's like the biggest welterweight I've ever seen in my life as well. Like he's a massive welterweight. But anyway, that's the guys on display here. Who's gonna win this fight? I'm gonna go Neil Magny. The only way I see Jake Matthews be by knocking him out, which is likely. He can knock Neil Magny out. But I don't know if he's that good of a striker to knock Neil Magny out. Let's be honest. He's going to have to catch him with something very lucky. But in terms of striking, Neil Magny is by far the better striker. He's more polished, he's sharper, he's more accurate, he's taller. He fights in a better manner. He's got a lot more experience, and he can wrestle if he wants to. He can really take you down if he needs to. I think he can take Jake Matthews down. Taller, he's gonna have the advantages here. So I'm gonna go with Neil Magny for the win. This is gonna be one of those fights where we're gonna have Neil Magny upset the home crowd here. So yeah, let's go with that one. But if you got a different opinion, let me know in the comments, please, ladies and gentlemen. That was all the notes I made for this fight card. However, I will talk a little bit about some of the other fights on the fight card. Just give you some names that you can think about as well. So we got Justin Tuffer. He's back. I don't know why the Tuffer brothers are still contacted, but they're here. He's taking on Louis Sutherland. I have no idea who Louis Sutherland is, but let's go with that. That should be a fun fight. We also have Tom Nolan taking on Charlie Campbell. Again, a bunch of guys I haven't seen in a while. I think I watched Tom Nolan fight probably once. And Charlie Campbell, name doesn't ring a bell. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't ring a bell. But anyway, they're on the main card. So that's the rest of the main card. So hopefully those fights pull through. On paper, like, it doesn't get you jumping off the seat and going, oh my word, this is going to be a mad fight card. However, it could still be a good display of fights at the end of the day. Because we could end up getting some mad fights, mad bloody warfare that goes 3 rounds or a bunch of KOs, and anything can happen on the night. So hopefully this fight card does produce better than what it does on paper. Prelims, Nabu Sterling versus Rodolfo Bellato. Obviously, Rodolfo Bellato needs to get a win here. The last fight that he had has caused a major uproar amongst the UFC fan base. Everyone thinks that Bellato was faking it in his last fight and basically wanted to get out of the fight. But he's here now, so let's see what happens. He obviously needs to correct that now, because the last thing people remember about him was that fight where he got upkicked against, I think it was Paul Craig, and then it looked like he was basically KO'd, but then he jumped up again, and it was like, what else going on here? So he needs to correct that. Nabu Sterling, on the other hand, on a good fight win streak. I think he's on a 3-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that and double confirm. Could be completely wrong here. I did see him lose a fight. Okay, 2-fight win streak at the moment. But his last fight was a little bit shaky. So he also needs to get a better performance here. And even if he doesn't get the KO, he doesn't have to get the KO. You can just basically wipe Bellato out over 3 rounds and make it look very easily. And then still win over a lot of fans, right? He's just gonna have to. Then we see Andre Petrosky taking on Cameron Roston. Cameron Roston, I think he's a Dynamite Contender Series guy. This is his debut, if I'm not mistaken. Andre Petrosky has been around the block and is a very good boxer. So that should be very much a fun fight to watch here. Look, again, I'm going to repeat myself again. The fight card may not jump off the page, and be like, oh shit, what the hell is this? This is going to be a mad fight card. However, I do have a feeling in my bones that this fight card might produce a bunch of KOs here. You might get it. Oban Elliott is back. He needs to produce something good here because he's also been on a losing streak, so he needs to get a win-win here. So hopefully he performs really well in this one. I'm not too sure of his opponent, but the face does look kind of a familiar face. But anyway, let's go Oban Elliott. This fight, I see it on the prelims, but I got a feeling this fight is gonna be one for the fans. Jamie Malarkey taking on Rolando Bedoya. Bedoya is a very good boxer. Very, very good boxer. The dude is sharp striking, good counters, good head movement. But so is Malarkey, and he's super tall for lightweight. And he's also a high volume kind of striker. So at that fight, I expect to be a KO there as well. I expect these guys to go and put in a possible fight of the night here. So I'm gonna go with. I've always went with Rolando. I'm not gonna lie. I've always went with Rolando because I like the way he fights. I like his style. But I just get this feeling that Jamie Malarkey is gonna get him in this one. Taller, sharper, a little bit faster. Also, his home advantage. It's gonna power him up. It's gonna give him more energy to go in there and perform. So, yeah, I think he's gonna get the win over Orlando Bedoya here. Colby Thickneys taking on Josias Musasa coming out of Congo. Again, I think this is gonna be a fight that's gonna be one for the fans. Thickneys didn't do too bad in his last fight. I expect the KO here in this one as well. So let's go with that. I'm gonna go with Musasa. But that's just because I'm from South Africa and he's from Congo and I'm going to support Africa. So let's go, Musasa. And then there's the fight card, a bunch of unknowns, unfamiliar here, lots of debuts. Loma Lukpumni taking on Alexia Tainara. Tainara didn't do too bad in her last fight. Very good striker. But that's also Loma Lukpumni is also a very, very good striker out of Thailand. So I'm gonna have favor book me here. I think she's gonna get the job as long as it stays standing. I think Loma's got the advantages here, so I'm gonna go with Loma on that one. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time with that fight card. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Give me your picks. I'd love to get your thoughts on that one, especially for that main event, because that obviously means the winner. That obviously means that the winner is going to put themselves in the position of really um, solidifying a title shot or a title contention shot. Maybe number one contender situation. But I mean, the winner puts himself in a very, very, very sweet position. Okay, so before I close off the show, I want to talk about some news that I got here from the UFC. Um, the one story I'm going to bring up on screen is the latest update on Charles Oliveira. Obviously, everyone was wondering who is going to fight next. And there was supposed to be a fight with BSD. BSD pulled out. I don't know. It was Rafael Faziev. Faziev wasn't able to make the fight due to, I think it was injuries again. And then BSD was going to step in. He pulled out. Arman Tsarukyan was like, no. And then Mateusz Gamrot took the shot. He was like, I'll take it. And now we have it. And I'm super hyped for it, to be honest with you. I am all in on this fight. I think it's a worthy opponent. Mateusz Gamrot was pretty much in the top 5 not too long ago, but then moved out because of one loss, I think, against Dan Hooker. Or did he win that fight against Dan Hooker? But anyway, the point is that Lightweight division is looking insane from number 1 all the way down to number 10. And this fight is going to be insane. I can't wait for Charles Oliveira. I had something else to say as well. I think he was mentioning something around there. There we go. You were saying Mateusz Gamrot, that's the guy we're going to war with. The rest just wanted hype. Just wanted to talk nonsense. I don't know if that's just him just throwing shade on the other guys, but I'm happy to see Charles Oliveira back. A lot of the fans are saying that Charles Oliveira has taken this fight a little bit too early after being KO'd by Ilia Topuria. What was that, like 3 months ago, something like that? But anyway, it was a brutal KO, but he recovered. I mean, let's be honest, Charles Oliveira is the kind of guy that takes a lot of damage in his career, and he's able to recover really well and gone on good win streaks. And I feel like this is the correct fight to make, just because of who else? Who else? I know this BSD. I get that. And I know this Rafael Faziev. Let me just quickly pull up the UFC rankings here. Because BSD, I don't know, man. I'm not too keen on that one. Not yet, at least. So, Mateusz Gamrot Rafael Faziev was ranked number 10, right? And that was the guy that they were going to give him. BSD is number 13. So that's why I feel like that wouldn't be right for Charles Oliveira. Even when BSD fought against Dustin Poirier, that wasn't supposed to be the fight for BSD. The jump was too high. He needed to take someone else on. You know what I mean? Now, on BSD, I would call back a run back with Renato Moicano. That was the last guy to basically fuck you up. You need to get one back, and he beat you up in your home country. So I would say get that fight back first before taking on someone like Charles Oliveira. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Mateusz Gamrot's number 8. I think it's the worthy opponent. It's Paddy Pimblett, but he's obviously having beef with with Ilia Topuria. So we could see that fight even happen. Arman Tsarukyan, I think he's fighting against Justin Gaethje, if I'm not mistaken. Or Justin Gaethje's getting Ilia. But there's Gaethje there as well. So, yeah, I think... And also, Dan Hooker and Charles would have been even better. That would be even better than Mateusz Gamrot versus Charles Oliveira. But anyway, I'm all for it. This is going to be a good fight. Regardless, I don't know who Dan Hooker's getting. I think Dan Hooker's got a fight coming up soon. But anyway, I am super hyped for this one, for Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot. Fun fight. It's going to be a warfare of the highest order, battle of nutrition here. I'm keen to see how Mateusz Gamrot deals with the striking of Charles Oliveira. How does Charles Oliveira deal with the grappling of Mateusz Gamrot? Because if you remember correctly, Charles Oliveira fought Arman Tsarukyan. He lost that fight. It was a close fight, but he was getting out grappled. He was getting out grappled in that fight. And if you remember Mateusz Gamrot versus Arman Tsarukyan, that was also probably the best wrestling you'll ever see in a UFC match, the way they were wrestling in that fight. So, really interesting matchup. But Mateusz Gamrot does get tired when it comes to the third round. Because his fight style is so wrestling heavy, he does get tired. Charles, my guy Charles, don't get tired, bro. Charles just keeps getting harder and harder as the fight goes on. So, Early prediction: Charles Oliveira gets the job done here. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Mateusz Gamrot pulls up and gets the victory. But it is in Brazil, so mm, you know, it might just it'll favor Charles quite heavily in terms of the energy of the crowd and so on. But let's see. That's a crazy, crazy fight. Can't wait for that one. And then just one more news stories. Let me know your thoughts on that one as well. Is that the correct matchup for Charles Oliveira? Should he have taken some more time off? Let me know in the thoughts. Let me know in the comments, please. Okay, last one. Gian Silva from the Fighting Nerds is back. Just bring it up on screen. There we go. And he made this post a little bit earlier today. This is again all these new segments I'm picking up is from Home of the Fight as well as the championship rounds. I will leave the links in the description box for you guys to check out. Give them all a follow on X. That's where I'm getting all this news from. Gian Silva calls out number 3 ranked Yair Rodriguez to fight in December 2025. I'm assuming there's no date over there, but I'm assuming it's 2025. And why not? Why not? Especially because now that Diego Lopez has beaten Gian Silva, I think that Diego Lopez is on his way to fight for another title. But what throws a spanner in the works here is that Lerone Murphy also is on his way to fight for the title. I mean, he beat Adam Pico. He's undefeated. He is the only other guy Volkanovski hasn't fought in the division other than Mavsar Ibrahim, who's still injured, by the way. So it's like, what next, right? So we could see Lerone Murphy taking on Volkanovski maybe in December this year. And then that's the case, and I don't think that Gian Silva is going to get Yair Rodriguez if they're going to give Volkanovski to Lerone Murphy. Because if that's going to happen, that means that Diego Lopez is going to have to fight against Yair Rodriguez. Because that's the next guy, right? If you look at the featherweight division, um, Diego Lopez, Volkanovski champion, Ibrahim number 1, Diego Lopez number 2, Yair Rodriguez number 3, Lerone Murphy number 4. And then Aljamain Sterling will just beat Brian Ortega. Arnold Allen hasn't fought in a while. Josh Emmett, I think he's got a fight coming up soon against Yusuf Zalal. They're number 8 and number 9. Gian Silva's number 10, and he just lost to Diego Lopez. So one would say that you got your shot against the top 5 and you lost. So he has to basically hold up and maybe fight the fight against like a Arnold Allen or a Josh Emmett, or the loser or winner of Emmett and Zalal. You know what I mean? Or you might even get Aljamain Sterling. But I don't know if you can get Yair Rodriguez. He's just trying to kind of cash his ticket in for a title shot again. So I think we're gonna have Lerone Murphy against Volkanovski. We're gonna have Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez, and then the Mavsar Ibrahim is probably going to take on the winner between Volkanovski and Lerone Murphy. And then what will happen with Aljamain Sterling? You'll most likely get someone like a Josh Emmett or Zalal, the winner of that fight, or you might get Gian Silva. But at the stage of where Aljamain Sterling is ranked number 5, former champion, he's probably going to only want to fight up. So he might even get the loser of Lerone Murphy and Volkanovski to set up a title shot next. But I don't know. There's so much that could happen for that title contention there. But I just purely think that you can't deny Lerone Murphy. The dude's undefeated. He wiped out the guy that everyone thought he was going to lose to. You know what I mean? So I think we have to give Lerone Murphy his shot at least in that opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. Do you think Gian Silva should be fighting against Yair Rodriguez in December, or should be fighting against somebody else? Which fight should you campaign for that featherweight division? Let me know in the comments how you would matchmake that featherweight division going forward for 2025. But anyway, that is my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. You made it this far. Drop a like on the video. Share this content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tomorrow we'll be dropping a new segment for One Championship, which is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to do that one because some amazing news coming out of One Championship at the moment. And then obviously Friday we will be live for the One Friday fights. 126 fight card, massive fight card. Tune in. It's going to be fun. Hope to see you all there. But on that note, for myself, Fighting with Friends team, have a very, very good week. And we'll see you next one. Cheers, everybody.